I'm a nearly adult guy with two dads. I'll call them Cole and James for this post. 9-ish years into my parents' relationship, Cole was in a bad accident, broke multiple bones and suffered a TBI, traumatic brain injury. He almost died. Nobody really knows how he survived. He and James had lived together for years and considered themselves married, but couldn't legally marry in the state then. Even though Cole had James down as his emergency contact and the person to make decisions for him, Cole's parents heard about it, took James to court, and won the right as his family to make those decisions. They kicked James out of the hospital and called the police on him for harassment because he left the room but went to the waiting area. They said they could get him straightened out since Cole would likely have lost most of his memories. Cole's siblings, all older than him, were on board and made it clear to James that he would never see Cole again. Cole woke up with 10 missing years of memory. His parents wanted to keep it that way, which meant he made no progress for months. Doctors were concerned because they believed he could, but he just didn't try. Cole's family didn't care. They were adamant Cole was better never improving and staying as he was than trying to see if James could help, until one of Cole's cousins decided it was cruel and something should be done. When James came to see Cole, he started to find a will to do something. Cole always told me that his heart knew James where his brain didn't, and he gave him the will to want to improve, and his family did not. Cole had to insist his family be removed and James take over. Eventually, Cole improved enough to go home, and then when he improved enough to get some independence back, they moved out to a state where they could legally marry. I came along a few years later. My parents were candid with me about their past, Cole's disabilities, and his family. I always knew they were not safe people. Cole's family wanted to know me because they believed I was biologically Cole's. Cole's parents died within a day of each other a few weeks ago. His siblings reached out to tell Cole. He wanted nothing to do with any of it. Then they contacted me via social media and tried calling me via Messenger. I ignored it. They sent me a message saying my grandparents would have wanted me there and how I shouldn't ignore my loss. This is when I called the account messaging me, and when one of them answered, I said I had lost no grandparents, and as far as I was concerned, it was good that the world had lost 2 more morons. Then I ended the call. I blocked them, but another account was made, and they accused me of being evil and said James had raised me to be evil and sick, just like him. They also harassed Cole off social media and into taking out our landline, which we had because it's easier sometimes for Cole to use still. Am I the idiot? Oh dear, I can't fathom how you would have any doubt if you were not the idiot while writing this. Not the idiot. I am sorry for what your dad went through, but I'm glad it worked out in the end, and your family doesn't owe anything to Cole's parents. They literally tried to ruin your parents' relationship and only wanted to contact you because they think your biological father is one of your dads, and that just sucks. I'm sorry this is happening. The really telling thing is that the people, I won't call them your family, created more accounts so that they could continue to harass you. This is not the actions of people who actually care. This is the action of people just looking to hurt someone else. Wow. Just wow. The cousin is the hero in this story. They deserve no sympathy, no understanding, no care, and no tears. They tried to ruin not just the relationship. They were perfectly happy ruining their son's life and well-being over this. They were happy he had a traumatic brain injury and lost a decade of his life because they thought this way they could fix him. That's like straight-up supervillain levels of evil. What repulsive people. OP, I'm so glad your dads were reunited and you have your family. These people aren't worth a second thought, and you're right. The world is better without them. My girlfriend, 26, and I, 28 male, have been living together for a few months. Recently I got some money after my grandpa passed and was able to buy a duplex. I put down 20% and she and I have agreed to split the mortgage, property taxes, insurance, utilities, etc. It comes out to $1,000 for each, and she agreed. But then she wanted to make changes to the house that I disagreed with and bring her dog. Her dog has been living with her parents for the 3 months we moved in together, the place I rented before buying. She wants to bring him because he's her dog, and her parents only agreed to let him stay with her temporarily. But I don't want a dog to move in with us and potentially damage the house. As far as I know, he isn't known to damage stuff, but he runs around the house, and I want her to pay $100 extra a month for potential damage or $1,000 extra as a damage deposit. She's angry because we agreed on $1,000 and no damage deposit, and she feels like I'm making it too hard to bring her dog. She also wants to put a clothesline in my backyard, and I find it weird and tacky. Maybe it's because I grew up in suburbia, but everyone I know uses the dryer, but she insists she needs to have a clothesline and hates the dryer. She claims her clothing is too expensive to be put in the dryer, and she's only used a clothesline or drying rack her whole life. However, because our yard can accommodate a clothesline, I should allow it. I don't want the neighbour to see her put her underwear on the clothesline, and I think they will complain as it ruins the surrounding house value. She wants to fill up a large part of the downstairs with her stuff. Our place isn't very big, and she wants to bring her skis, rock climbing equipment like ropes, harness, etc., 2 bikes and her winter tyres. She also wants to buy a mount to install for the bikes for the winter. She doesn't have many things like clothes, but we don't have a big basement. It's like a half basement, and she wants to put her stuff downstairs. I want to convert the downstairs into a gym for me, but she wants to move her stuff out of her parents' place because they're going to downsize when they retire in a year or 2. I told her she needed to either not do these things like the clothesline or pay for the storage place and dog. She refuses though and says either I let her move in with the agreed upon rent or she's finding another place to live. She's currently back with her parents and I've been paying for the whole place alone. She thinks I'm the idiot for penny pinching her, but I don't think a landlord would be okay with her dog and clothesline, so I'm doing her a favour. She also makes more, $130,000 versus my $90,000, so it's not like she can't pay her fair share. I can already tell you are the idiot. If she's paying rent, or mortgage in this place, she has the right to change her living situation. Her asks are normal expectations of things in a home. To turn this around, what you want is for your girlfriend to abandon her clothes, her pet, her hobbies, her belongings, and her income to be a live-in bang maid and pay you for the privilege. Why would anyone agree to that? You messed up and probably destroyed your relationship. If she wants a landlord, she could just get an apartment. If instead you want to be her partner, she needs to be able to live in the house, like actually live in it. And yeah, lived-in places start to look lived in. Dude, do you actually love this woman? Because you're not acting like it. But don't worry, she won't stay with you for long. Right? I wouldn't move in at all. He wants her to split the bills. Fine. But also the property taxes and insurance for a house she has no ownership in. He gets all the benefits financially and she can't even put up a clothing line or store her items. Heck no. I take my $100,000 plus income and find a place to put up a clothing line. I'm not a fan of tattoos, only because they're so ubiquitous now. When I was a kid, tattoos were rare and rebellious. Nowadays they're everywhere and that's fine. People can decorate themselves however they want. But for example, my grandfather had tattoos. His were from where he was in the military and were a memorial to his friends. My son, 19, has wanted a tattoo since he was little, so I told him that was okay, but to really consider whatever he got and have it be at least a little meaning and not just do it to be cool. I told him if he got something and it had no special meaning, I would get the exact same one. I guess he thought it was an empty threat because he got a tribal armband tattoo. I asked him about it and he said it just looked cool. Okay, well, I have disposable income and a high pain tolerance. Now we have matching tattoos and he no longer wants to show off. He says I'm an idiot for getting a tattoo just to prove a point. I think it looks silly to get a meaningless tattoo to look cool. You are the idiot. Getting a copy of the tattoo of your son and saying tattoos have to be meaningful and well thought about doesn't really match. You only showed that you're an idiot and you don't stand behind your ideals. On the contrary, OP's tattoo is meaningful and well thought out. It says, I thought long and hard on how to permanently show the world I'm an idiot. Your goal specifically was to ruin his tattoo for him because you don't like that he likes different things than you. Since apparently your own bodily autonomy is less important to you than spiting your son and trying to make him feel stupid, I'd say there's an 80% chance that even now, at least one of his friends is advising him to get a particularly bad and prominent temporary tattoo so that you'll copy it. I'm just left drowning in all the irony of OP's actions. You didn't want your son to get a meaningless tattoo, so you got an arguably even more meaningless tattoo. He got inked in an art pattern he liked and that appealed to him. He's now being humiliated and mocked by his own parent because he dared to express himself the way he sees fit. If he'd gone off on a tangent spouting some pretentious garbage on what his tattoo symbolized, would that have made you feel better even if he made it all up just to appease your nonsense reasoning? I'm failing to understand OP's logic. Like, what's their goal? What are they teaching their son by doing this? Or the point is of humiliating your child? Jesus, OP, you have psychological issues and you need some serious help because now your son has a permanent reminder of why he shouldn't trust you with anything he's excited about. I, 32 male, and my wife, 31, sleep in separate bedrooms. It sounds a little weird, but it isn't. My wife has gone through some things, and one thing she refuses to do is sleep in the same room as someone. The only exception is babies and children. She told me from the beginning she trusted me with every fibre of her being, but she just couldn't do it. Of course, I didn't care, and I had my own little back cave where I slept. Now here's where the actual story is. My sister, 27, asked if she could stay over at our house for the weekend because, apparently, she and her roommate got into an argument. My wife and I agreed, and I told my sister about my wife's room thing. If you know she's sleeping, don't go in there. My sister was always kind of a spoiled brat, but it really shone here. She complained that the bed in the guest room was too lumpy, and she didn't want to sleep in my room because of my man smell. After all this, it was obvious that she would complain about the couch too. I told her my wife's room was off limits and it was the options we gave her, or she could find a motel. She agreed and everything seemed fine until I woke up at 3 in the damn morning to my wife yelling along with my sister. When I went to see what happened, my wife was crying and my sister, just in her underwear, was yelling back. I got into an argument and started yelling at my sister to get her crap and get out. She was in there to sleep. I had one rule and she broke it. Her last statement was calling my wife a crybaby. My wife told me that my sister was trying to sleep in her room, possibly trying to kick her out. After that, I got text messages and calls from my parents saying I was a horrible brother for kicking her out like that and agreeing with her, saying that my wife was a crybaby and she should suck it up. Of course, I just didn't listen to it, but my wife came to me and started talking about how I could have handled it better and how she got texts from my mother saying the same. She said later the same day that she was happy I protected her. Still don't know why she said that, but it was probably my mother. This is really for if I should just apologise and get my parents off my butt. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. You offered your sister 3 different beds to sleep on and instead she chooses to literally sneak into the one room she's been told isn't up for grabs in the middle of the night. Apparently, she and her roommate got into an argument. What a surprise! So she creepily snuck into your wife's bedroom in her underwear at 3 a.m. while your wife was asleep. If this was your brother instead of your sister, every single person would be telling you to call the cops. I'd go no contact with my sister after this. Best case scenario, she was using your wife's trauma to try and trigger a horrible panic attack because she thought it would be funny. What the heck was your sister doing in her underwear at 3 a.m. in your wife's room? Ask your parents for clarification on this. You need to talk to your parents and stop letting your sister set the narrative. The separate rooms thing is stage dressing. The real core of the issue is that your sister tried to climb into your wife's bed in the middle of the night. Your sister is absolutely unhinged. Please don't apologize. Your sister should be apologizing here. It sounds like a power trip on your sister's part, like she was maneuvering and building up to stomping on your wife's boundaries. It seems like she wanted to see what would happen. I go low contact with your sister until you see real remorse and an apology. I'm a photographer. Mostly I do industrial photography. If you've ever seen a brochure for a company, you understand the kind of work I do. I've taken more pictures of warehouses, bulldozers, building sites, and work crews than you can imagine. I also do wedding photos on the side. Whenever my friends and family ask me to do their pictures, I offer them a steep discount. So far, everyone has taken me up on it. Let's just say there's no way they would pay less than 3 times what I offered to do the wedding for if they went with another professional photographer. Twice it was sort of an issue. They objected to me wanting to be paid. One came back and apologised when they shopped around and saw the real price. The other chose to get her neighbour's son, who is really good with his camera, to do the pictures. I brought my camera but not all my equipment to that wedding and enjoyed taking pictures as a guest. I ended up giving them an album of my pictures for their first anniversary and they were insanely thankful. They never said anything to me because they were embarrassed, but the kids screwed up. So now the story. My brother asked me to take pictures at his wedding. I said sure and quoted him a price. He said that I should just do it as a wedding gift. I said the price was my wedding gift. He said his fiancée also expected me to get them a gift off the registry. I said no. I said I would be more than happy to attend as a guest and got on my phone in front of him and got a gift off their registry. I said that since I'd now purchased a gift, I wouldn't be taking pictures. I will probably still bring my camera because I like taking pictures. He said I'm being an idiot and cheap since it doesn't cost me anything to take pictures and I shouldn't try and make money off him. I told him that I needed my bathroom remodel done and wanted it done at the cost of materials since he's a contractor and it will cost him nothing in labour if he does all the work himself. Our parents are staying out of it because they know I've always been paid for taking pictures. Only my brother and the bride side of the family think I'm in the wrong. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I think that's a fair trade. You do photos for free and he does remodelling for free. For some reason, the idea of this job is literally my livelihood goes over people's heads when it's their friends and family. But it's just taking pictures. Doesn't matter. It's your full-time job. Not to mention the steps such as editing that they conveniently seem to forget about. But you love your job. Doesn't matter. Still a job. Still need to be paid. He wants you to work for free, and the fiancé expected you to buy a gift off the registry. You're better than me. I would have laughed in his face and walked out. What entitled and greedy people. People love to pretend that photographers don't do hours of real work during and after an event. The entitlement with weddings is so insane to me. Congrats, you're getting hitched. What more do you want from me? You offered them a steep discount on your normal rates as a gift. They chose not to accept. I wouldn't hire my sister to work my wedding. I'd want her to be present as a guest and celebrating as a guest and to be in the photos and not behind the camera. Although I'd certainly be asking my photographer sister for recommendations, but your brother clearly doesn't value you and your work at all.